Diablos is a horned wyvern that likes to reside in dry climates, feeding on cacti. He's fast, strong, and relentless. In Monster Hunter World, you can find him in the Wildspire Wastes as the apex monster, refusing to step down from any fight. He's been around since the first generation of Monster Hunter games, and it's great to have him back after his exclusion from Generations. Diablos is weakest to ice. His stomach is quite susceptible to all damage, especially impact, and his neck, although difficult to specifically target, is a good weak spot for all damage types as well. Cutting type weapons can get an extra damage on the underside of his armored tail, while impact should focus on his body, and shot type damage is effective on his tail and wings. Diablos is also notorious for taking a lot of poison damage, so it's worth having a single member of your team bring a poison weapon if you're hunting with a group. You can cut off Diablos' tail, but breaking his horns should be your number one priority. There are 2 of them, and they can take some time, so make sure you work at them from the start. Diablos is very fast, and as such, some weapons in the past have been at a disadvantage to keep up with him. Luckily, World corrects this by increasing maneuverability with all weapon types. All weapon classes are on pretty even footing for blows, but I tend to recommend ones with a quick sheath time for when he digs underground. Diablos doesn't deal any elemental damage or cause any blights, but he hits like a fucking truck. Stack up on defense and evasion bonuses. He likes to scream a ton, so it's a good idea to use the Rocksteady Mantle. This also helps when he digs underground, as he creates small gusts of wind that can quickly result in your demise if he targets you. Equip your Palico with the Flashfly container to keep Diablos in place. Similarly, keep flash pods on hand. Also be sure to stock up on Screamer pods, formerly Sonic Bombs, since these can be used to create a natural trap for Diablos when he digs underground. If you're out of Screamer pods, hitting Moyos with a well-timed rock or red pit can have the same effect. Diablos is very susceptible to poison, so utilize poison knives. Shock traps do work on Diablos, but I caution against relying on them since when Diablos goes underground, he can pass underneath the trap and dismantle it. Life powders are very valuable in groups because a lot of Diablos' attacks are single hunter focused, which can put a lot of people in trouble very quickly. Diablos starts underneath the large desert in the Wildspire Wastes, Area 13, so start at the northeast camp in Area 15 to find him quickly. He'll head to Area 14 to sleep, but he'll also come here when he feels threatened but isn't weak, so be conscious of what state he's in. Diablos loves to scream. This isn't an attack per se, but it is something you need to be conscious of. When he steps back and rears his head to his left, he's about to immobilize you, and that is dangerous. He tends to follow up his screams with a quick charge, so try to position yourself in a place where you have a quick getaway. The main move in Diablo's arsenal is that exact charge, but it's also his main weakness. To roll out of the way, watch for him to lower his head before every charge, or you can try to stand in front of or behind a rock structure. If his horns aren't broken yet, you can get his horns stuck in the rock and mobilize him for a considerable amount of time. Diablos will commonly follow a completed charge with a double tail slam to ward off attackers. From your view, it starts in the top left, then to bottom right, and then reverses. The range on his tail is pretty big, so get in to attack his legs from the right if you can, or leave plenty of space to follow up an attack once his slam is finished. Be sure to stick to the side of his legs during this, as the base of his tail can still hurt you. Diablos' other classic attack is a devastating blow from underneath the ground. He will first dig, then wait a moment, travel to a player and attempt to send them flying in agony. As soon as you see him dig, you need to react. Most of the time, this involves running away and ensuring you have enough stamina in case you need to do a Superman dive. Create some distance from where Diablos went underground so you have more time to look for his trail and react. If you're close to Diablos when he starts digging, you might have been affected by small gusts of wind he puts up, which gives you considerably less time to formulate a plan. If this happens, try rolling to make distance before attempting to put your weapon away, if at all. If you have a weapon that can guard well, you might not want to risk putting your weapon away and instead just block in case he comes for you. You'll need to take care when he digs underground in Area 14, however. This area is covered with cascading sand walls that give Diablos the perfect opportunity to strike from not underneath, but from the sides. Diablos has a relatively quick attack where he dashes at you, dragging his horns through the sand. He'll showcase this by striding around, then flaring his wings and opening his mouth before lunging forward. This attack is in front of him, so get out of his way by rolling to the sides. Diablos also has the typical hip check. He'll wind up by taking a step back, then unleash his full weight in the opposite direction. Treat this like all other hip checks in the game, and react depending on where you are in relation to him. His tail is positioned pretty high up, and usually you can roll towards it to avoid getting hit. Try not to roll towards his head as he lowers it during an attack, and there's still a good chance he'll take damage. One of Diablos' newer attacks that has been implemented in the past few years is his horn fling. He'll rear up opposite to his scream as his head goes right and his right leg will move back. Once you see this, you need to get away from him and move behind him quickly. His attack starts from his right and goes left, then reverse, and has massive range as he covers a lot of ground in between attacks. You'll be sent flying if you get hit, leaving you open to be comboed as well. When Diablos is enraged, he no longer breathes black smoke. Instead, you see puffs of white breath coming from his nostrils. He will still take a moment to build his frustration as he swipes the ground with his foot, letting you know he's upset. During his enraged period, all of his attacks are considerably faster and hurt much, much more. Treat Diablos with care, but stay on him. His constant movement means it could take longer to defeat him, but don't get discouraged as he is not a monster you want to be reckless with. Keep your health up since a lot of his attacks deal quite a bit of damage, and don't forget to take advantage of your environment. Learn his attacks and abuse his openings, and you'll have the King of the Desert down in no time.